Hello and welcome to the Secret Wealth Project. I'm Matt. Hope you're doing all right. Okay, so I keep getting asked in comments about VAs, virtual assistants, and I assume they're specifically talking about the Filipino virtual assistants. Okay, so let me tell you a brief story. I've been obviously online marketing for the last something like 16 or so years, and full time during that time. I've took brief stints out to do little bits and bobs like run the nightclub and stuff, but basically I've been a full-time internet marketer for since forever. And during that time, I've hired and fired my fair share of Filipino VAs. Okay, so about 10 years ago, I'm guessing that's a total guess, but it's many years ago. But about 10 years ago, someone said to me, "Oh, check out the Filipinos. They're awesome." So I did that, and I ended up hiring a ton of them. So at the height of me hiring Filipino VAs, I had a full-time team of 8 of them. So that was 8 full-time Filipino VAs all working for me at the same time. I had Filipino VAs hiring other Filipino VAs, and I had a Filipino VA managing that team of VAs. So it was kind of like a totally self-contained kind of unit in the Philippines. Never been to the Philippines, never met any of them in real life. It's all virtual, all over the internet. And obviously, when I say I've had 8 full-timers, that was 8 full-timers at one go. Obviously, I've had a lot more than that because I've hired them, I've fired them. Some have dropped out because they've just gone on to do other things, But over the years, I've hired dozens and dozens of VAs. Right now, I've only got one VA, Chris, because that's all I need in my business as it is. At the time, what I was doing is I had them basically. I had a copywriter, I had loads of writers, just content writers. I had a designer, and what they were doing is they was kind of following kind of like a internet marketing course. So you give them the training, and then they kind of get on with it, and you hope that they can build something. So I can't remember how many sites they built, but maybe they built 50, 60 sites, of which I never read. Probably 99% of the words on those sites I've not read. And I mean, I couldn't even tell the domains of half of them. And to be fair, I've just recently kind of let a lot of them go. But this is from work done like the best part of 8, 9, 10 years ago or whatever. So kind of I moved on from that business model. And like I say, I just use one now. And that's just what suits me. But yeah, when it comes to Filipino VAs, I kind of know my stuff. And with me keep getting asked the questions about them, I thought I'd answer a few questions in this video about Filipinos. So first of all, why Filipinos? Why not Indians? Why not Chinese? Why not anywhere else? Well, let me tell you about Filipinos. Filipinos, on the whole, and this is a general sweeping statement because they're not all like this, but on the whole, they usually read and write as good English as their average English or American person. Often they read and write much better English, and they use words that I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And I English is my first and only language, and I don't know what that means. They're smart. A lot of them have got degrees and like proper higher education, further education. They're very friendly. If you speak to them on the phone, if they go to a spoken English, they've kind of got like this kind of sound American. So over the phone, you wouldn't really be able to tell. You could tell they're not quite your typical American, but they've kind of got an American accent. A lot of them have, which is great if you want them to make calls for you. Then it kind of it doesn't sound like they're ringing from, I don't know, Iraq. They're ringing from. It sounds like they're ringing from the USA or whatever. But yeah, they're very friendly people. They're very hardworking people. They're very loyal people. They've got a lot going for them. They're good people, Filipinos are. On the whole, I've had some bad eggs. I've dealt with some bad eggs, but you know what? I've dealt with a lot more bad egg Brits and bad egg Americans and bad egg Europeans, you know. So on the whole, the Filipinos are very friendly, very hardworking, and very reliable. So some of the problems with the Philippines are they have regular power outages. So if you're expecting your Filipino VA to be online and you really need them to be online, maybe they can't be because there's a power outage in their village. They have a lot of harsh weather conditions. So like literally you might get a message and they'll say, I'm sorry, Matt, I'm trying my best to be online, but my village is flooded and there's a crazy like hurricane coming or something like that. And it's like you don't even realize it's real until you actually log on to the news and have a look. And it's like they're still trying to come into work. They're still trying to let you know what the situation is, even though everything's going pear-shaped around them and everything's going bad. You know, that's the kind of people they are. So yeah, I mean, I've hired VAs in other countries like India and Pakistan and places like that. And for example, the Indians, this is. I mean, I know I'm making sweeping statements, and I don't mean to tar whole nations with the same brush. I'm just going with sweeping statements from my own experience. But Indians, on the whole, aren't as good with English as Filipinos. They're not. Indians, again, and I apologise, this is not meant to be offensive to anyone, but in my experience, the Indians that I've worked with, they had a tendency, maybe it was from a point of view as they don't want to upset anyone or they don't want to like let you down, so they say, yes, yeah, I can do that. And what they actually mean when they were speaking is not, I can do that, or yes, I will do that. They actually mean is, yes, I understood words coming from your mouth. Just because they say they understand doesn't actually mean they understand. Whereas the Filipinos, they just get it. And again, I don't mean to generalize. And obviously, different people are very different, and skill sets are different and stuff. But on the whole, and that's all I can speak for really. If you put 100 Filipino VAs in a room, just standard VAs, and put 100 Indian VAs in a room, you're probably going to get a much better standard of English from the Filipinos, and in general, they're going to be probably easier to work with. And if that does offend you, then all I can say is go hire some Filipino VAs and you'll be singing their praises too. They're fantastic. Now, I was worried 10 years ago that it was all too good to be true because, to be able to hire someone that reads and writes better English than you and me, and works harder than you and me, and turns up on time every day and stuff, getting someone like that to work for $250 a month or $300 a month or $400 a month, I just thought to myself, that's too good to be true. Having a full-time person giving you 40 hours of their life a week for $250 or $300 or whatever is too good to be true. It can't last. The big companies are going to come in and they're going to swamp the labour market with jobs, and the Philippines is going to kind of crawl out of the problems that it's had in the past, and they're going to really become a really well-developed nation, and labour rates are going to go up. But I tell you, that's not happened. In the last 10 years of me hiring VAs and stuff, pretty much the wages are still the same. Now, Chris, obviously, he's been with me a long time, so I pay him kind of... How much do I pay Chris, Hall?
It's 20,000 PHP.
20,000 PHP. What does that work out to, roughly?
I think it's like 400.
Now, last time I looked, and this might have changed because this was a long time ago, but when I was researching it, to be a doctor in the Philippines, in certain areas, you'd only get like 20,000, 22,000 PHP, like Filipino pesos.
£323.39.
So £323. What's that in dollars? So I pay my VA £323 a month, and for that I get a 40-hour, roughly 40-hour anyway. He works Monday to Friday for me. He does an hour on Saturday and an hour on Sunday as well. So that's what I get for my 330. Did you say £330 a month, which works? So it's 480.
No, 400. $400.84.
Sorry, $400. So yeah, okay. I was going to say that doesn't sound right,
No.
but yeah. So $400 a month, so $100 a week for a full-time Filipino VA that's possibly got a degree. But that I to a certain extent, I think I overpay him, or I don't overpay him. But compared with probably the wages available from other sources, possibly I overpay him. But he's been with me a long time. He's been loyal. I don't know how long I've had Chris working for me, but I think it's the vast majority of the time I've been hiring VAs. I think he was one of the first that I had. So yeah, so for like $400 a month, I've got a full-time Filipino VA that's there that will take his hand to any task. I can give him some training, or I can teach him what to do, and he'll just get on with it. Which leads me on to kind of how to work with them. Really, this I suppose is worthy of a video series in itself. And if you want a full series on Filipino VAs, the ins and outs of them, let me know in the comments below, and I will do that. But I'll give you the basic overview now, and then if you do want more detail, then I can always make videos and go really into in-depth in it, and hopefully share my expertise or experience at least. So yeah, where do you find VAs? Okay, there's lots of places you can find VAs. Back then there wasn't, but now there's lots of places. The place I recommend, and the place I would hire VAs from now if I was looking to hire some more VAs, would be Online Jobs. I've put the link down below in the description. It's a great site. It's created by the guy, I think it's created, I've not checked, to be honest. I assume he's still running it and stuff, but and he's not sold it or anything, but it was created and is being run by the guy that taught me all about recruiting VAs all those years ago, John Jonas. He really knows his stuff, and that's his site where you can hire VAs. It's really good value for money. Last time I looked, it was like $49 a month or something like that. But obviously, if you sign up, you only want one VA, you pay your $49, you hire your VA, and then you can always close your account if you want. And then that's that. Or if you're likely to need lots of VAs, then you can take like quarterly or yearly subscriptions and save some money that way. But yeah, I mean, when you're starting out, I would just recommend doing 1 month, $49. You'll definitely have hired the right person within a month. You'll probably have them within a week. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I could go deeply into detail of how to kind of what to look for, what to ask them, what to tell them to do to kind of test if they're going to be good and all that stuff. But again, I'll stick to the overview. If you want to hire them, go to Online Jobs, PH, and then just a few of the basics. Basically, one of the things that Filipinos are going to expect, they're going to expect a 13th month payment, okay? This is what a lot of people aren't teaching, what a lot of people don't know, but it's a Filipino kind of culture / kind of expectation. Basically, every year at Christmas, they expect it's kind of like a Christmas bonus, but it's done across the labour market. They kind of expect it, and it's customary, and you shouldn't really go against that custom. So at the 13th month, you should, so that's Christmas, December, you should pay them twice kind of thing for that month. But if you've got the right VA, you're going to love them, and it's going to be worth every penny, so you won't mind. Another thing you do is you want to have them do a small test when you're recruiting them. So when you're hiring them, obviously try and set up a Skype conversation. I'm not saying a voice conversation. I'll probably keep it written unless you need someone for voice-related activities. But you set up a Skype conversation and you literally do a little interview with them there and then. So you'd give them a little task to do. So if you wanted to hire a writer, then you'd say, write me an article on this, or you could do that, or you could say, you could just literally just talk to them and just judge their English response, because obviously in Skype they can't go away and get help or check a dictionary or perfect things before they send you a reply like they could say in an email or whatever. They've very much got to do it on the fly, so you get a feel for how fast they type, how good their English is, how polite they are, if you'd work well together and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of very, very, very basics of recruiting them. Something you want to do every day that they work for you, ask them for a daily report. So at the end of the day, you want them to send you an email that lists everything they've done during that day. Then there's a few other little questions that you can ask them to fill in every day, or you don't have to. It's up to you. But that's the basics of it. Ask them for a daily report every day. I always request that when they're online and working, that they're on Skype. So they're always available and showing as available on Skype. So if you ever need to talk to them, you can. With regards to the time differences, to a certain extent, let's say you wanted a VA for your online arbitrage business, selling products that you'd sourced in retail stores on Amazon. The beauty of the Filipino time difference is they can be in the Philippines scanning the products or searching for products whilst you're asleep. So you're tucked up in bed, sleeping in UK time, and that's when they're working. And then you've got a bit of a window kind of in the morning for you to kind of catch up, talk, tell them what you want doing or whatever. So you've got a good few hours before they log off for the day, and then it's over to you. You have your working day. So literally they can be covering things while you're asleep. That's if you're in the UK. I've not really taken into account the US time difference. So if you're from the US, obviously, you'll have to have a look at the time difference between the Philippines and the US. Or if you're anywhere else, you'll just have to have a peep. But in the UK, it works out quite well for them to be working while you're sleeping, which is always nice. So yeah, daily reports, time difference, 13th month payment. Yeah, so really that's kind of the overview. If you think about hiring a VA, then I would suggest going for it. Get an account on Online Jobs PH and put an advert up there and see who applies. I mean, some of the stories I've got from my Filipino VAs is amazing. I had this one girl. It's a great many years ago now. What was her name? I don't know if it was Alessa or something. It's a bit wrong of me not to remember, but you know, I've had a lot of life between then and now. But she was amazing. If I could have got an army of her, I would be 100 millionaire by now. She was amazing. She could design websites and make them look great. She could copyright, so she would write content for those websites that was so engaging and really pulled you in and took you on a journey, and her writing was so good it kind of made me look like a beginner in places. And she could write, she could design, she was fantastic. And literally you just say, oh, I want a site on dogs, and she would have all the content written. She'd write the content and it'd read like a magazine. It'd be so good to read. She'd have the graphics done, the website built. She understood how to use Dreamweaver or whatever. That's like a piece of software that builds websites. She was fantastic. Problem with her is I think she was too good. She was very itchy and she wasn't okay with kind of just doing the same thing all the time. So you couldn't. I probably got 5 or 6 sites out of her before she left, but I think she left to do some kind of master's degree or something. To be fair, she was wasted on the tasks that I was giving her. I don't know what she's doing now, but I mean, I've had everything from a Filipino model called Rachel working for me, and like I say, I've had Filipinos that I had a proper team in place. So like I had a Filipino manager that would manage the other Filipinos. They'd read through the work, they'd correct it, they'd make sure that they was doing the work when they say they was. They'd give them the next task, they'd figure out the next task for them. So I've had like the whole shebang, a proper outsourced team, not just individuals. But yeah, I mean, this video is getting kind of long, and like I say, it's really something that I could talk a lot about if I broke it down into the individual elements of it. But if you're thinking about getting your feet wet and you're thinking about getting your first VA, if you're making some money, think about the video that I made the other day, whereby it shouldn't be all about you. If you build a business and it's all about you, then really you've just got, let's say, assume it's a good business and it does well, you've just got a good paying job. Instead of working for the man, you're working for yourself. You know, a real business at the right point for you should be when you start to scale that up. So if you're making, I don't know, if you're making £1,000 a month, don't think, oh yeah, this £1,000 a month is great, I'm going to keep this £1,000 for myself. Think, how much more could I achieve if I'm making £1,000 a month now from my business? How much more can I achieve if I just give, say, £300 of that to a Filipino VA? What can I build? Let's say you've built your £1,000 a month business from part-time work while you're doing a job already anyway, and it's kind of something you do in the evenings or weekends, just occasionally in your spare time. Imagine what you could do if you had somebody working on your business for you full-time, 40 hours a week, sourcing for you, doing all the stuff you don't want to do, any kind of, I don't know, I should steer clear from talking about any one particular business model because I don't want the Secret Wealth Project to be about just online arbitrage. It just so happens that that's what I'm focusing on right now. But I mean, it applies to any business you're in. The kind of more complex businesses, you can outsource more things to. But I mean, just from a sourcing point of view, having a VA for that would be great. Sourcing and buying. A lot of people struggle with the trust issue with Filipinos. They're on the whole very, very, very trustworthy. Not all of them, but on the whole, very trustworthy. So if, for example, you're using the online arbitrage business model as an example, how would you use a Filipino VA? So you could have him sourcing, you could have him using some software like a VA Wizard, or you could have them copying and pasting even on websites that, that the main software doesn't cover. So you might find some gems. And they're not likely to complain. They don't mind just doing kind of repeatable tasks kind of thing. Just copy and pasting all day. Get the right guy or girl, and they'll be fine doing that for you. But yeah, you could just get them sourcing, or you could get them buying as well. And some people struggle trusting them. To a certain extent, you could get like a prepaid card or something like that. So you could get a prepaid Visa card and just limit it. So you could say, here's your maximum, you can only spend £50 this day or £100 this day or whatever. Make sure they're spending it on whatever you're expecting them to spend it on. So just start slow and small, giving them small amounts, maybe even get £30, and just say, I just want £30 worth of stocks ordering. And just at some point, you'll just go, you know what? They're very unlikely to scam me. This person's legitimate, and you'll probably trust them with more. And then you might just give them the keys to the castle. I know a lot of people do, and they don't have any problems. But it's down to you. It's up to you what you feel you would trust. I mean, to be fair, to a certain extent, not to bash us Brits, but I probably trust most Filipinos more with something like that than most Brits or Europeans. And that's me having said that, having had a lot of money stolen from me by people that have worked for me in the past, but never, ever a penny stolen by a Filipino. But to be fair, I don't really let them do the buy-in. We keep the buy-in internally. But what I'm saying is don't rule it out. Any task you think, any task you can do that you could delegate it to someone else, they can do it. So don't think, they couldn't do the buy-in as well. Of course they could. They could do the sourcing, they could do the buy-in, they could put it into a spreadsheet, they could contact suppliers with returns, and they could do everything. So don't limit it in your mind as to what you think they could do. I remember the guy that first said, check out John Jonas's training on hiring Filipino VAs. The guy that actually introduced me to it, Brad, he was like, I have mine doing this. And then when I showed him what they were doing for me, it blew him away. And he was like, oh my God, I really need to relook at what I'm doing. Because I'd got my Filipino VAs doing everything, literally building websites from start to finish. Like I say, websites I'd never even looked at. Even like information products, there was building the ebooks, there was building the site, there was writing the sales letter, there was building content sites to then refer traffic to those information products. I mean, they were doing everything, and it just blew them away to see that what I'd kind of built and entrusted to them and compared to what he was doing. So what I'm saying is don't limit yourself as to what you think they could do. Whatever business type you've got, whether it's an estate agent, whether it's whatever business, you can get them working in it and doing some kind of tasks. Probably more tasks than you'd realise. Anything we can do, they can do. So I'll end this video here. That was my brief overview talk about Filipino VAs. If you've got any comments or questions, feel free to post them down below. I love it. I respond to all the questions and comments that I see. And please feel free to give me a thumbs up for this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. These videos are only going to get better, guys. At some point I'm going to stop using a selfie stick and sitting on my my chair, and at some point I might actually put some serious effort into these videos, and I'm hoping you follow me on the journey and see that progression as I go from selfie stick on my iPhone into hopefully something a bit more professional and a bit more glitzy and glamorous, and hopefully you'll stay on the journey with me. But I really thank you for watching this video this far, and I hope you've got a lot of value from it. And I will speak to you in the next video. So this was the Secret Wealth Project. Please share this video, by the way, if you liked it. Share it with someone that might benefit from hiring a Filipino VA. But this has been the Secret Wealth Project. I'm Matt. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll speak soon.